Hey there, LCW here. Thanks for joining me. And I really am glad that you're here, but honestly, this is not what I envisioned for myself. I never wanted my first YouTube video to be about some other YouTuber's video, but here we are, and I really only have myself to blame. And anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I can no longer sit back in silence. I've already let this go on too long, and you saw the title, so you know what this is about. I'm here to give Chris Boutte at the Rewired Soul a taste of his own medicine. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Chris Boutte is a 33-year-old, clean and sober, recovering addict who makes videos for his channel, The Rewired Soul, usually 2 or 3 times a day. And I've been watching him since late last summer, 2018, around the time he first started this shtick of pulling his ideas for videos from trending YouTube drama and kind of tricking his viewers who were there for the gossip into learning something meaningful about their mental health and emotional well-being, which I thought was kind of genius. So if it's not obvious, full disclosure, I'm a fan. And I'm not always going to agree with him, but he's never said anything in any of his videos that's ever upset me before. And I mean, look at the guy. Look at that smile. Listen to that laugh. How am I supposed to stay mad? But none of that stopped me from getting wound up about this video that he put up on January 4th, which he chose to title the YouTuber Burnout Myth. And now is probably a good time for me to disclose another bias. This time last year, I was struggling fiercely with burnout. So bad that it became more like a full-on breakdown, and I'm still recovering from that. I'm a little sensitive about it, but you know, as a fan, I think I know what Chris would say to all of this. So I thought it would be a great idea if I just applied his method to this video. And if you're not familiar with his other videos, that's okay. You can see the one I'm talking about using the links that I've provided, but I'm going to go ahead and cut out some clips for reference here, starting right now with a brief recap from Chris on his famous two-pronged approach.
We talk about the problem, but focus on the solution.
So as you continue watching, please bear in mind I have been checking my motives from the very beginning, and this is all just coming from a place of tough love. And that said, let me tell you everything that pissed me off about the YouTuber Burnout Myth according to the Rewired Soul. And let's start with the clickbait. And if you aren't familiar with Chris's content, then this might come off as shade, but he will readily admit to using clickbait tactics to get more views and subscribers. His whole goal is to reach as many people as possible, and he's not afraid to exploit the worst impulses of people who are just here to see drama unfold among YouTubers, so that while he's got their attention, he could point out how that same problematic behavior is probably cropping up in their own lives, and if they're so inclined, maybe some ways they can stop that. So I think that's brilliant. I'm totally here for it. I don't have a problem with the kind of clickbait that's a hot take in the title and a video chock full of the practical applications of concepts in neuropsychology. I have a problem with Chris using a very hot button, attention-grabbing topic in his title and then spending zero time actually talking about it in his video, and instead showing me a bunch of stuff I really did not expect nor really care to see. And he talks about other YouTubers in his videos all the time. He knows that burnout among YouTubers was a really big deal last year. So when he uses a title like the YouTuber Burnout Myth, even for a fan like me that knows he's probably going to flip the implication of whatever is in the title once you get to the actual video, it's still going to set me up with certain predictable expectations. And then this is what I get.
YouTuber burnout is something that was pretty big in 2018, and I'm just here to let you know, don't worry about me. You guys are seeing all these people burning out, and like, I want to be somebody on this platform. Like, I've already had other YouTubers saying like, man, you pump out a lot of content. It makes me want to do more. Good. For me, I feel like it would be disrespectful to all of you to be doing this full time and not putting in at least 40 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? I wanted this to be like a well-rounded, like, kind of story time for all of you to understand, like, don't worry about me. And the goal of this video is to hopefully give you some perspective, and hopefully, because I know I have other YouTubers who watch my channel now too, I hope it gives them some perspective as well.
At the very least, as a regular viewer, I would expect to see anything at all in this video about the general concept of burnout, maybe even learn some neuroscience about it, but no. And if I clicked on this video hoping to find out whether Chris really believes that the YouTuber burnout epidemic of 2018 was just some contrived, impromptu collective marketing ploy, I'm not really going to get a straight answer on that one either. And I'm actually most concerned about viewers, especially YouTubers who are dealing with symptoms of burnout, watching this video and getting some really bad ideas that just feed their impulse to keep working harder. And for all the viewers and YouTubers who are watching this video and not struggling with burnout, but maybe having issues with their motivation or creativity, there is something for you in this video. But first you're gonna have to sit through about 10 straight minutes of Chris just talking about himself. And that brings me to my second big problem with this video, the humble brag. And I was really shocked when I first watched this how much it seems like he really is just talking about what a hard worker he's always been.
My work, how I do my work, I was working from 9 to 5. I was working before work, I was working after work. Some weeks I was working 6 days a week. So like, I was a busy guy. Aside from that, I turned into a pretty much daily YouTuber. I was an extremely busy guy. How busy I've worked my entire life. But think about how much slack I'm cutting to people who are doing a lot less. I'm used to hard work. I'm used to hustle, okay? This ain't nothing.
Chris dedicates most of the time in this video to a kind of story time segment where he talks about how being an addict was practically a full-time job in itself. Plus, he had to work full-time to support that addiction. And then once he got clean, he was still working way more than full-time. Plus, he was like on call for his job 24/7. He was attending and hosting meetings for AA like 5 days a week and doing special events on weekends. And he was doing like side jobs, ghostwriting for other people or writing his own books. And on top of all that, he was a father, taking care of his son. And then he started his YouTube channel where he's making like a video every single day. So now that he's only doing YouTube full time, he actually has way more free time than he used to. And more time to spend on himself and his girlfriend and his son, and all of that is great news. But my first impression watching this video was that in an effort to assure his audience that he was definitely not going to burn out anytime soon, he inadvertently just humble bragged his ass off about what a hard worker he's always been. And even that is not necessarily a bad thing by itself, but by the time he got around to talking about other YouTubers, I had no idea why he was even bringing them up. And the way that he framed everything prior to that about his work ethic made it seem like what he was saying about YouTubers who are claiming to be in the midst of burnout was just really condescending and dismissive, as if those YouTubers just aren't willing to work as hard as he always has. And I am not the only one to get that impression. So that brings me to my biggest problem with his video.
The shade.
And I don't just mean the shade from Chris on this, I mean all the shade, every which way. So let's just start by talking about how Chris deals with negative comments. And if you follow him on social media, there's a good chance you've already seen how he will kind of clip out examples of the way that he responds to negative comments as if to share examples of how you might gracefully and compassionately deal with negative feedback most of the time. And on this particular day, I saw the YouTuber Burnout Myth. I was still very rankled and trying to mull everything over, and I went on Twitter and happened across some tweets from Chris where he was saying things like this. And in that moment, I did not perceive Chris's responses to be graceful or compassionate, and I decided I probably needed to make this video. And there have been plenty of times in the past where I've seen Chris sharing examples of how he responds to negative feedback and thought to myself, it seems like he's just trying to get validation from his fans that he's not in the wrong, or maybe even just showing his buddies how he burned a hater, even if it's just to, offer them a free copy of his ebook, which is harmless. Sure, but is it genuinely compassionate? Is it actually graceful? What are we supposed to be really taking away from him sharing these with us? Anyway, that's just food for thought. Let's go back to the video and see exactly what Chris did say about other YouTubers.
Here's my unpopular opinion, all right? When you guys get worried about me getting burnt out, and like, this is, I'm not throwing direct shade at anybody, but like, I think a lot of you have been brainwashed by YouTubers who are uploading once a week, once a month. Like, I know, like, I have empathy. Trust me, I have empathy. A lot of YouTubers think that they're these unique unicorns, right? Nobody understands. Nobody understands the plight of a YouTuber. YouTubers become disconnected from their audience. God, like, I would feel like such a jerk complaining about this in front of my fans.
That's it. And I felt really uncomfortable when I first watched this, the way it seems like Chris just brought these topics up long enough for his fans to start speculating about which YouTubers are just being lazy and which ones are faking their burnout and which ones are brainwashing their fans into worrying about their mental health. And he talked about the YouTuber burnout epidemic of last year, but never actually discussed it, and we don't learn anything at all about the general concept of burnout in this video. So I really struggled to understand what regular viewers were supposed to take away from this video, if not just compare Chris's work ethic to that of other YouTubers, which I think is obviously not a good practice to encourage. And Chris likes to clap back at critics all the time with, you know, this video wasn't meant for you, or it wasn't about whoever he named in the title.
I know you take it a little bit personal, but these videos ain't about you, boo-boo.
But it would have been really nice after watching this video if I could have been able to determine for myself what it was actually about and who he really was talking to. And it really would not have taken much more effort from Chris to be more precise about his message. So now we come to the part of the video that really struck a nerve for me.
You guys, like, if you put in 40 hours a week, it's really hard for me to fathom a YouTuber not putting out one video a week. Like, and that's being lenient.
At first I was really annoyed at Chris for saying something like this to other YouTubers who might be experiencing burnout, basically challenging them to make a video every week if they really were putting in the work, because it just seemed like the worst kind of idea to spout off half-baked in a video mostly about himself. So by the time he even mentioned production quality, I was already prepared to put these two clips next to each other to make my own point.
I know other YouTubers have higher production value than I do, but my videos take me 1 to 2 hours from filming to the end of editing and getting it uploaded.
Chris has this whole bachelor bear aesthetic that makes him very authentic and relatable. He makes talking about mental health feel more comfortable. He makes the idea of recovery feel more attainable just by getting in front of the camera. And it's one of the reasons I watch him too, so I'm totally okay with that. But the problem with that aesthetic is that on an off day, it really does not leave a lot of wiggle room between that being his style and him just being sloppy. And in this video, you can barely hear any of it because the audio was so low, and then there's a memory card error halfway through. And I know he's got his editor back, and I know he's much better now about not recording his videos entirely out of focus, but it just seems only fair that if he's going to throw down the gauntlet to fellow YouTubers to, keep up a weekly schedule, someone should challenge him to improve the production quality of his own content, even if he just spent more time researching or planning what he was going to say, or more care in how he balances the time on each topic in his video, or even just, include more scientific-based information in with his commentary. It would go a long way. So those are pretty much all the problems that I had with Chris's video, but don't worry, I didn't forget. Let's talk solutions. And I'm not sure how obvious it is, but pretty much this whole video so far, I've been talking about my initial reaction and sort of first impression of Chris's video and the way that he responded to criticisms like the ones I had. But then I decided I was going to make this video. So I went back and watched his video again. I actually decided to transcribe it, so that meant playing it over and over again and very carefully listening to every single word. And once I got around to actually, organizing all of my own thoughts and sort of writing them out, it occurred to me that I think I do understand what Chris's video was actually about. And I realized that I'm exactly the kind of person that was meant to see it. Chris likes to remind his viewers all the time that the natural impulse of all humans is to be self-centered, and that empathy takes conscious effort, no matter how easy it might come to you. So do you remember in the beginning of the video I said that I'm a little biased because I'm kind of sensitive about the subject of burnout? Well, it would be silly for me to assume that that sensitivity is not influencing how I perceived Chris's video. I'm way more upset than I normally would be about the clickbait aspect because I clicked on that video wanting to see something for people experiencing burnout. And I was way more upset about the humble bragging that I sensed in his, story time segment, because I'm really insecure about my own capabilities and my future career. I'm terrified that I'm never going to be able to go back to work and I'm always going to be a wreck. But he's not the one making me feel bad about how hard I can work. That was me doing that. That's always been me doing that. So I started to think more about what Chris must have been thinking and feeling when he decided to make his video, and when he decided to include other YouTubers in the conversation and the way that he was going to title it. So it occurred to me that Chris might be a little bit fed up about all of his fans constantly telling him to slow down and stop working so much because he's going to burn himself out.
Like, oh, Chris, don't burn yourself out. Chris, don't burn yourself out.
This video was basically his way of saying that the myths of his burnout were being greatly exaggerated. And I'm sure it occurred to him that lots of people who watch his channel might be working, full-time jobs or more than 40 hours a week in jobs that they hate. And they're sitting around in their free time worried about YouTubers who are probably just being lazy. And that really upset him. And I know that in the video he said he wanted to inspire and motivate others. So it's obvious he didn't just want to talk about himself the whole time. He wanted to make this useful for other people. So my final opinion on his video is that it would have benefited from a more precise message and more care in the balance of time that he spent on each topic. And I certainly would have liked to see any information at all about the general concept of burnout, for people who clicked on the video looking for that kind of thing. But the bottom line is that that video was not for or about people actually experiencing burnout. Chris made a video about what isn't burnout. So Chris isn't going to burn out just because he's been working so hard all the time. And people who aren't working at all aren't necessarily doing nothing because of burnout. But all I could think about that first time I watched his video was how I was doing nothing, and I was definitely burnout last year. And it took going through this whole process for me to really finally fully understand what it was about Chris's video that was really pissing me off.
If I don't piss you off, then I'm not doing my job very well.
He just made this whole video talking about how people who aren't really experiencing burnout don't have any excuse to be doing nothing. And he's right. And I'm not experiencing burnout right now. I was last year, and then I started recovery, and I've made significant progress. So I'm out of burnout mode now. I'm getting better, and I can't rest on the excuse anymore and continue doing nothing. And as a matter of fact, continuing to do nothing is more likely to halt that progress and draw me right back into a completely crippling depression, which is the last thing I want for myself. So really, I don't have any excuse anymore. I need to get back to work, whatever that is. And I was more upset than any other part of Chris's video at this challenge that I perceived him to be sort of issuing to other YouTubers that they should be making a video every single week. And that upset is definitely rooted in my own ego as well, because I've had this account with the intent of making videos on this channel for no less than 5 years. I've even worked on videos as recently as the past month. I've gotten through most of the editing on them and just decided to throw them away because of a million different reasons, every one of which is rooted in fear and zero, until this moment, ever being based on actual experience. So my actual experience making this video was definitely educational. It's had its ups and downs, which I intend on talking about at length in another future video. But more important than anything, it's taught me a lot about myself and how I approach all kinds of work. And I know that what I've learned from this experience is going to really help me going forward in my recovery from burnout. I'm going to try to do this, 1 video a week challenge. I mean, it's supposed to be therapeutic for me, so I'm not really considering it like a challenge. Like, I'm not going to fail if I don't do it, that kind of thing. That's for my benefit. I know I don't have to point out to you that this video is a little bit late. I literally started making it the day that Chris's video came out. We don't need to talk about it. Anyway, it's okay if I miss some deadlines, but I'm going to shoot for a video for every week of this year to show myself that I can do something that I think is scary and actually commit to it and finish it and just let go of my wild perfectionism that just gets in the way of me living my life. Anyway, if there are any other YouTubers who are committing to a video every week of this year, please drop us a line in the comments so that we have some new friends to follow. Chris, I hope you don't mind that I used your name for views, and I hope that you will take up my challenge to improve the production quality of your content. But I will say that in the past 3 weeks, I've actually seen some improvement already. So I think he was already planning on doing that. Either way, he's doing a great job. And, you know, more than anything, thank you for pissing me off.
Again, no hate, nothing but love.
And for everybody who made it to this part of the video, thank you so much for sticking around, and please come back and see me sometime.